Hi everyone, and thank you for joining this webinar. It's part of our International Virtual Jobs Fair series. I'm TES Senior Digital Editor Simon Locke, and today I'm joined by a fantastic panel of leaders from around the world. We'll be discussing various aspects of career progression and development within international schools today. So whether you're recently qualified or an experienced leader, I'm sure you'll be able to take something interesting from today's session. So joining me today, I have Miss Jo Vinaron. She's Vice Principal and Head of Primary at Amity International School in Abu Dhabi. Murray Dixon is Head of British School Al Hamra at RAC Academy in Ras Al Khaimah. Trying to get all these pronunciations as accurate as I can. Francis Retter is a boarding school director at Klosterschule Rosleben. And Mr. Frank Powell is headmaster at Runnymede College in Madrid. Thank you everyone for joining me today. I'll jump straight in, I think, and just start with a few questions on career development. So Jo, in terms of career progression, what are the benefits of gaining experience in an international school?
I think when you move to an international school, it opens your eyes in a way that you would not necessarily expect. When you visit countries, you learn about them on the surface and you find out lovely things about their culture. When you move internationally, you live and breathe it, and you really do get to know that country inside out, and hopefully get to know some of the people that live there. That's not always possible. Different cultures work differently. But working in an international school also gives you the opportunity to work with so many different people, and you'll find that the colleagues come from schools that they've previously worked in. We have people that have worked in Bangkok, that have worked in Malaysia, that have worked in Finland, that have worked in the UK, and it's just fabulous because they all bring with them ideas and different takes on life. And so it gives you wonderful opportunities just to learn by osmosis, all those professional discussions that you have in the staff room, magpieing different ideas from people, and just enabling you to think out of the box. So yeah, it's brilliant. It just makes you think big.
Great. Francis, I'm admiring your backdrop. I'm assuming that's an image of the school there. Is that something that resonates with you? That sort of mix of experience that comes from working in an international setting?
Very much so, and I think Joe's absolutely right. It just gives you, all those kind of transferable skills actually that all leaders are looking for in their staff, and this just this patchwork of communities and individuals and personalities that you meet. Obviously, there's the cultural side of living a different culture. The fact of adapting to a new environment and learning teaching methods, seeing them in action. I think it just means that you learn very much to think outside the box, and there are fantastic things that you learn every day. And I think on a daily basis, I've been here for approaching a year and a half. And every day I learn something new from somebody, which is fabulous. So yeah, just in so many ways. And I think as much as anything, seeing how the context of a different country plays out, and all those received ideas that you've had perhaps from working in one country, suddenly you go somewhere else, and it's you realize that contextual thing is so important, and that the old Dylan William thing about everything works somewhere but nothing works everywhere is terrific.
Brilliant. I'll come to you, Frank, if I may. So for a new starter, perhaps someone beginning their international career with you, what sort of routes of progression do you have for a classroom teacher?
Well, the first thing is to point out that Runnymede, we're a 2 to 18 school. So obviously the answer to your question would vary a lot. And then the other thing is that Madrid isn't Emirates, for better or for worse. So coming to Madrid is not as exciting or as different as going to some of these other more exotic destinations. In fact, one of the reasons why people choose to come here is to be close to home. And sometimes they come to Madrid on their way back, if you like, from the Far East or even from the Middle East. They want to go be nearer to England without going the whole hog, which, and I think actually that's probably more so now with Brexit. I find a lot of our teachers, a lot of the people also people we get applying from Britain, just don't want to be in the UK anymore because they didn't approve of Brexit, they didn't buy into Brexit, and they don't want to be in a Brexit UK. That said, by the way, now they have to get work permits here in Spain, which is something to bear in mind because it's not automatic anymore, and it costs money. It costs about 600 or 700 euros to process the paperwork, which the school is defraying, but it's costly. That said, working in an international school, certainly in like ours here, you can expect a very supportive environment, very high academic standards, very involved parents, very aspirational children. But the work is very teaching focused, and it's certainly, Madrid is a great city to live in. I mean, it's probably more museums per square mile than anywhere else in Europe, even Paris. So the quality of life here is fantastic.
Great stuff. Murray, so if I was in the shoes of a new starter at your school, what would you be looking to offer me in terms of a career path, a progression, if you like?
Yes, so we're part of an academy of 5 schools, and within the 5 schools we have 4 primaries. So even within that structure itself, there is quite a lot of scope for career development for people who are willing and able to show that. And we're really keen to develop leadership from within. So people who have come to us and proven themselves as class teachers, we're looking to grow, and that doesn't mean that staying within one school is necessarily the only option. We look to expand from within and between different schools. And that can include going to a different curriculum as well. So we are a British curriculum school, but we also have PYP schools within our academy. So sometimes people want to take a different direction, and we support them with that. We also run a succession program. So any member of staff at any level, be it a TA or a teacher or assistant head teacher, they can elect to shadow someone who is a level above them. So we've got someone shadowing me at the moment. We've got TAs shadowing teachers, and that's very much a bespoke CPD program that's looking to develop their skills to allow them to hopefully apply for future positions within the academy or beyond. And then look, we've just changed our leadership structure, and that structure is looking to obviously meet the best needs of our kids and to be able to develop the best leadership within our academy. And often that leadership comes from within, because it's people who have bought into our vision, people who have experience of our methods. So we're always looking to support people who come to us as a class teacher to progress at our school or within our academy.
Brilliant. So Joe, if perhaps a candidate out there is kind of a little bit nervous about leaving their network of, perhaps they have peer CPD and a neighbouring school that they work with quite closely, and they're going to an international school and that's sort of taken away from them. What sorts of CPD do you guys offer for your new starters and teachers?
So we have a whole range. One of the things we look at is our staff, because if you calculate the number of years that we have, I mean, I think we have around 150. There's just, and then you count each one has 10 years or 5 years. I mean, we've probably got, well over 500 years of experience sitting in our building. So never ever underestimate the talent that you have in the building and the quality of CPD that they can offer. So we do quite a lot of internal CPD, and when we do that, we really aim at what does it look like on a Tuesday morning. So a teacher that can come in and they live and breathe it, they walk it and talk it. So the CPD they give often has the biggest impact because they're just bursting with ideas that are usable and practical and attainable. So that's brilliant. So we offer that, and where we've got such a close-knit community, it's great fun as well. So there's all sorts of inside jokes, and some I get and some I don't, some I shouldn't know. But anyway, but it's really good fun, and we always have food, so that's good. And then the other thing we offer is we pay for CPD. Well, one of the things we do is we access endless webinars. That's one of the good things of COVID, is you can get information from anywhere around the world now. It's just amazing with all these webinars. But we also will pay for CPD. Now, that said, we look at the school development plan and we identify the needs for where our school needs to go. And so that will factor into where some of the CPD budget, because we'll grow people into where we've got gaps. But equally, we will look at people's interests and invest in them as humans, as what they want to do. So so we trained up quite a lot of people last year. There was a group of people who wanted to do netball. So they were all really good netball players, but they weren't qualified to teach it or be goalies or refs. So that's what they did. So, and then we had COVID, so now they can't play netball. But never mind. When it's over, they will. So that was what they identified. So so it's very available.
Great. Francis, how about you? Do you think there's the same sort of opportunities for teachers coming from their home country out to Germany for that networking and CPD?
I think there certainly is. We're in a slightly different position. We're not an international school per se. We're a German boarding school keen to develop its international profile. So we have about 10% overseas. We're a small school. In total, only 380, of whom 80 approximately each year are boarders. Our staff is very small. We have 34 teachers, and we're very keen to recruit beyond just the locality. We're actually in what was, after the Second World War until 1989, part of East Germany. So there's quite an interesting kind of cultural mix already there with the various Germans from Western Germany and from more locally who work here, which make it quite interesting. And then we have a New Zealander, we have an Irishman as well, and various people who've come here to work. Because it's a staff of only 34, our boarding tutors also, there are 12 of them. They don't actually teach, so they're a small kind of quite coherent group. There's lots of in-house training. We have a preparation week, a week before everybody comes back, and then long days. But everything is very very organised for the rest of the year. We have 8 training days with which staff are required to attend, but because the departments are very small, the relationships there are very very good, and there's lots of informal training going on. There's lots of, as Joe said, with the various webinars. In Germany, education is organised by one of the 16 Länder, or the 16 states, if you like. And there's a whole range of things that we can access there online, and we can go to training. Something very similar to the Boarding Schools Association in England, not quite as developed as the German Boarding Schools Association, and we have links there as well, and training programs. we visit other neighbouring boarding schools for competitions and for informal meetings. And I think that's quite important when you actually come somewhere else. You need contact with people to help you settle in, and to realise that you don't need to know everything before you start.
Brilliant. So, Frank, you mentioned teachers sometimes come via Madrid on their way home. I think a lot of teachers, when they do go home, it's nice to have the experience and things to show for their international adventure. Do you offer any sort of qualifications as well?
Well, we've had teachers doing aspiring teachers doing PGCI through TESS, in fact, and before that through I think it was Nottingham University. So we've got trainee teachers. We've got one in the senior school at the moment who's trained to be an economics teacher. So yeah, and then we send one of the big advantages, obviously, of being so close to the UK, is that we send people to do CPD in the UK, which is the best and the cheapest way to do it from here. I mean, literally a few £100 in normal times. So there is, but yeah, that's definitely something to keep investing in if you want people to stay. People here at Runnymede stay a very long time. I mean, as in forever. So 10 years is a newcomer, and it's not unusual for people to retire here after 30 or 40 years. So they do tend to stay. So CPD, obviously but we keep the CPD going because it's necessary, because obviously with people staying a long time, the problem with CPD is, or the lack of it, would be not only that they can't get back, the problem is that they get out of date. Because they haven't been in touch for after 5 years, it's difficult to get back. How I'd be interested to know what other people think. I mean, getting back into mainstream teaching in the UK isn't easy after a time outside the UK. Do you all find that, or?
Murray, how do you find?
Yeah, it's an interesting point, Frank, and I think part of what we're trying to do, and we're an academy going through a lot of change in a positive way. We're looking to become more forward-thinking, and we're on that journey. And part of that is to help develop people to gain those professional qualifications, which are relevant and will stand them in good stead anywhere. So yeah, we're currently looking at developing a way in which we can support our staff to gain MPQH, MPQSL, MPQ, ML, things that would be valid when you go back to the UK, which would be that extra string in your bow. What's good about those qualifications as well is that they are often based in UK best practice, which keeps them relevant. And I think we're lucky in that we're a British curriculum school, in that we follow that British curriculum. And we do, during our recruitment and during our CPD and everything, we try and keep things as current as possible. And we make sure that we're always having our ear to the ground on current best practice. So the hope is that what goes on in our school as a British curriculum school isn't too far removed to what's going on in the best schools in the UK at the minute. I think that's key.
I know a couple of you are starting to develop programs for teachers who perhaps aren't fully qualified yet, and offering sort of initial teacher training, and perhaps not giving people QTS, but certainly preparing them for it. Jo, is that something your school offer?
Yes, yeah. In fact, this year I've had 3 NQTs start, so that was really good fun. So what we do is, when you join as an NQT, we assign you a mentor, and that mentor is somebody that you can say anything to, and they'll you're having a bad day, if you're having a good day, that's what they're there for. They're there to be your partner, to guide you, to help you. Then alongside that, you have a line manager, which is normally the head of year. And the head of year, again, is very supportive, but they're the ones that will take you through, will do more of the assessment. So they would do more of the lesson observations in a more formal way, or they'll do all the more formal stuff. It still is really supportive and really good, but the mentor will also come in and out, but they're more there to sort of as a friend. So you've got two people there. And then we also give, prior to arriving, we give a buddy, and they tell you just all the ins and outs of Abu Dhabi and where to live and what to do. And so we try to find somebody with similar interests. So they are really, really well supported. At the moment, I think, like the same as Maury, we are working with the UAE to provide a more formalized QTS program. So at the moment it's embryonic, but we're looking to enable people to get the IQTS, which is the international QTS, but that's not in place yet. And I would anticipate, I think we'd be lucky to get that for September, but certainly for the following year we would get it, or whether we could start it mid-year. We might get it organized for September, but that's not something I could promise. But certainly everything else, 100%.
Who oversees that?
Oh, now there's $1 million question. So it's Maury, with us, there's a couple of universities that are interested in being involved. We're talking to 2 at the moment. Maury, I don't know about you, whether you're...
Yeah, so we're at early stages as well, Joe. There is a pilot going on in the UAE, which we've been invited to take part in, and I think we're going to take part in that. So yeah, we've not ironed out the logistics of it before yet. But I mean, before we have worked with some UK universities on individual basis to be able to, and you can get qualified teacher status if you work closely with those people. But I think what we're looking to do is to get a much more uniform approach, like you are, Joe. And we're lucky that the UAE government is helping us to do that, and they're looking at, just like we've talked about before, providing people with those qualifications that they can then take with them and teach wherever they go in the world.
Great stuff. I will change course a little bit, and just rather than looking at the qualifications you offer candidates when they're working for you, what do you look for, each of you, when you're going through applications? Francis, what makes a candidate for your school stand out?
Flexibility has to be key, I think, and there has to be. We're not necessarily looking for somebody who has great international school experience themselves, but somebody who has something which indicates that they like travel, they like other cultures. We want them to be a success here, and we want to help them develop their careers. So it's kind of that kind of intangible quality, really, that we're looking for in a CV. We're very keen to Zoom candidates or speak to them on the phone, and I think that that personal feature. We're a small school, so when we get applications, we're very keen to get somebody who's really going to fit in well. Otherwise, we're a 24/7 boarding school. People who offer something a little bit different, a different insight, a different experience, an unusual hobby, and backed on a sense of enthusiasm, alongside the ability to teach subjects that we need, of course. But I think it's always, first it's important to get the right person, and so we're not, we're our job descriptions can be sometimes fairly flexible, probably compared to the others. In Germany, to actually work as a teacher, you need to have your teacher qualifications recognised. So to actually come here as an NQT would be tricky. What we have done very successfully in the past is had people who are interested in developing a teaching career have come to us as boarding tutors, and there's quite a nice career structure with a potential promotion to being in charge of the boys boarding or the girls boarding, deputy housemaster, housemistress, that kind of position. And very often then, depending on the knowledge of German, to get the qualifications ratified, you need to pass a language test. It just gives them enough chance to really get to know the school, get to know the country and the culture and the language, and then the potential there for trajectory through a teaching career is quite high. So it's but certainly enthusiasm, experience, and that degree of flexibility, I think, to sum up.
How about you, Frank? What makes a CV really jump off your desk?
Academic qualifications, subject knowledge, and then previous experience. Mm-hmm. More the quality than the quantity. I mean, yeah, 2 years at a good school. It can be good, high-achieving school. We get a lot of Teach First applicants who've got very good academic qualifications and then have taught in challenging inner city schools. That's always a very good starting point. Does
a lack of international experience rule people out for you, or do you take people straight from their home country?
No, we like people to have been in the UK in the recent past.
Good to know. Okay.
Can I just jump in there? Just
of course.
Talking about the what we look for. I think yes, we look for the same as Frank and the same as Francis. But just one little tip that I would give is, when I get applications, one of the things I look at is what I call hoppers. So if I've got a teacher that's done 2 years here, 2 years there, 2 years here, 2 years there, I tend not to go any further. And I know that sounds really harsh, but I'm not looking for a teacher for 2 years while they work their way around the world. I'm looking for a teacher that is passionate about teaching and passionate about joining a school where they're going to really make a difference. And obviously teacher retention, that's what leads to high quality.
Yeah.
So a little bit of I can see Frank nodding. So
you call them tourists.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And so that would just be one bit of advice is you really want to do well on the international circuit. You need to commit. You need to put down some roots. Really care about that school, invest in that school, make a difference in the school, and then on your CV you can actually quote tangible change that you've helped bring about. You've got real things to offer. So my little tip.
Good advice, Joe. And we'll just finish with a few more tips. Actually, that's a nice thing to bring this to the close. Murray, what advice would you give to candidates out there watching this?
I guess it depends what situation they're in. If it's your first leap of faith, if you like, if you've not taught internationally before, I'm denied over it for a good 3 or 4 years myself before I made that leap and took that decision. And there's a lot to consider, and sometimes you worry that you're going to not be able to get back in, like Frank says, or you worry that what if it's too different? And my advice is, certainly speaking from personal experience and from many other colleagues who have taken that leap, is what can you lose? You will experience something new. You will gain experience in a different setting. And if after a certain time you don't like it, then you can always go back. And what I guess you guys will find is that 9 times out of 10 that doesn't happen. And people really really like what they've done, and they look back. I've got my children here in the UAE. They love it here. I love it here. It's been good for my career progression in the short time I've been here. So I guess I would say be brave, and you'll be rewarded well.
Lovely stuff. Well, I think that's a great sentiment to finish on. Thanks very much to everyone for joining us today. That was really interesting. I'm sure everyone watching would have got plenty from that. So yeah, thanks
Thank you, Simon.
to the guests.
Thank you very much, Simon.
And
Bye.
thanks to all the candidates for watching this. Good luck in your job search. All the best.
Thanks, Simon. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.